Well, hello, hello. This is Inside the Leader's Mind, where what's in the way becomes the way. I'm David Susan. I'm so excited to have our guest today, Alejandra Slatapolsky. She's the co-founder of SCALTO. They're a strategic branding and communication consultancy, and they help financial and fintech companies scale through clarity, storytelling, and execution. She is passionate about turning complex ideas into strategies that drive growth and help leaders position themselves with purpose and authenticity. Please welcome Alejandra.
Hey, David. Nice being here.
I love having you today. I got over the hardest part, which was pronouncing the last name. So, I'm feeling
We're
good about.
good. Now
Uh,
we're good to go.
I'm feeling good
To go.
about the rest of this. So, tell us a little bit about what you currently do. Um, and some of what you mentioned in the intro there, right? Of kind of how you work in the financial and fintech space.
Yeah, I always say I was born into the financial world because my family had a financial services firm. And they were entrepreneurs too. And I've been in financial services my whole career. Just that it's always been the communication side. I used to be a reporter, then I went on to the marketing side and the event side. So throughout the years, I've been doing all sort of strategies for financial services to build the relationships with their target audiences. At Scalto, what we do is actually exactly that. We purposely form strategies for financial services firms and fintech companies to gain the market position they want to gain. So to gain the market perception, like how do you want to be associated? What do you want to be matched with in the minds of your target audience? So we work on those strategies. And then since we are not just consultants that create a nice PowerPoint presentation and leave, we actually have a team that executes that strategy for our clients. So that means that some of our clients may be huge corporations. Um, One of the biggest wealth managers in the world can be one of our clients, and we execute on the activations for their marketing team. And then we have startups or established startups that already need a marketing team to execute, but they're not hiring yet. So we become their actual marketing team that executes everything that they need from them.
Fascinating, fascinating. So, in the work you do, how did you decide you wanted to move in? You said your family had a business, but how did you decide to move into having your own company or co-founding a company versus going to work for a large corporation?
Well, it was sort of a natural evolution. Honestly, I did work for large companies, and then one day, actually in the 2008 crisis, I was working for a bank, and of course everything was not going well. I went from having like a $3 million budget to a zero budget for marketing. And then the CEO said, I can't justify to the board investing in marketing right now. So at that point, I actually went to work for one of my vendors, which was a small boutique agency. And with them, I basically got my feet wet in what it was because they were small, in what it was to build a company. Because they were PR specialists, and I opened for them all of the marketing offering of the consulting firm. And once I got comfortable with that, I was like, it was always in the back of my mind that I was going to be a business owner some way or another. Um, so at one point, I was about to have my second baby at home. And I was like, how is this maternity leave going to work this time? What is going to happen? Are they going to make me partner or not? And it was all these going around. And I said, you know what? F it. I'm going out on my own. And I did. I just, I was 8.5 months pregnant. I said, okay, I'm not coming back. I'm just going to have the baby. And during my maternity leave, I started prospecting clients. So yeah, I'm a little bit nuts in that sense. But that was my transition. And that's how it happened. So I started my own company. I was asked, as what I call sort of a solopreneur. I had a very small team. And once I got bored with that, I was like 7 years in. I was doing very well. It wasn't bad. It was like I was doing very well. I was like, okay, now I need to take it to the next level. And by chance, doing a project, I met my current partner, and we actually ended up merging both agencies.
So what, so this is called Inside the Leader's Mind. Why, it's an interesting decision to say, hey, I want more. What was it in you? Because some people are fine being a solopreneur, right? Some
Nice. And
people, right? And some people go, hey, look, I got a small team. I'm good. What was it in your mind, or what caused you to sit there and say, I want more. I want bigger. I want to grow.
there were several factors. So I'm going to be completely honest here. Like I'm going to be inside a leader's mind. Let's be like as brutally honest as we can. Uh, One of the factors was, hey, when I go on vacations, nobody's taking care of my clients. So I still work on vacations. That meant being a solopreneur meant, okay, I either have a really good relationship with very few clients that understand that I'm taking a vacation and it's going to interrupt their services, or I really need to build this into the next phase so that the team can take over. And that was actually linked in my mind to my inner conversation of, hey, but if I stop working, this company dies with me. And I started feeling the need of, hey, I want some legacy. I know it's like something everybody like throws around
Yeah.
nowadays. I want to build my
Right.
legacy and da 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 da. But I really felt that need. I'm like, I want something to survive me. But that meant also, it meant I want to be able to take vacations. So it was like sort of that same mix up. Um, and the hardest decision also was taking on what I call another marriage, because taking on a partner is getting married again, and with all the good, bad, and the ugly. Like it's all of it. So that was a tough decision, and it was not from like what I wanna clarify. It's like it's not from one day to the other. Like it wasn't like, hey, a light bulb. Hey, I should do this. No, that doesn't happen. So it took about a good year and a half at least. First to make the decision, then to start a company with my partner, then to actually merge our clients. So it was like, hey, we met, we're dating, then
Right.
then we move in together, and then like we share our finances. It was a process.
Wow.
Um. So yeah, but that need, honestly, yes, the days that I'm exhausted, sometimes I say I should go back to being like a solopreneur. And why is this so complicated?
Right.
Because it is tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that goes up in your mind, and whoever tells you is like an orderly thought process, or that it's simple to make the decision, or that your thoughts are clear, I don't believe you. It's BS. I
There's
don't know.
more to it. But that's
It is.
kudos to you, because getting to that step, it can be challenging, but you did it.
I
So
did.
so the question, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of, do you get to take vacation now?
Yeah, I do. I do.
So
I do. I
okay, so now here's the question. What about your employees? Are you, because this can be a challenge, sometimes as a leader, now it's what do I do with my employees when they need maternity? What do I do with them when they need vacation? It's like, oh man, I can't believe they're going to go take vacation when we've got a client. So tell me a little bit about what goes through your mind with your team.
So actually, we had this conversation the other day with my partner because, one of our key employees went on vacation and we were swamped. And that's a reality of a small organization, but I think that that's a reality of big organizations too. When you have the truth is, if somebody goes on vacation and you don't feel it at all in your organization, that's a red flag because it means, hey, they're not contributing that much. Something has to happen in your organization when somebody leaves. I think that's one thing. The other thing is it doesn't have to go to hell. You have to go have good structure, good operational processes so that it doesn't go to hell. But it has to be like it's a balance. It also helps when somebody goes on vacation to see, hey, where are like I see it as little holes or needs in little, how do you call it, that like little processes or services that sometimes you don't realize that somebody's covering for, which is very important to visualize always.
Right.
So I do take vacations. I'm not gonna say I completely disconnect for more than 2 days. That's just not me. Like I'm not, but I'm not working, which is pretty huge for me. And for the team, we actually did, which is the other day I was talking to a client about it. We provide unlimited vacation time. And
Unlimited.
that unlimited.
Okay.
So that means that our team members have to be extremely responsible for their roles. That puts the responsibility of performing on them. And there's a responsibility of when they take the vacation on them. And the responsibility of leaving things tidy and leaving things so that they continue to work on them.
So as a leader, because people could take advantage of this, how do you create an environment where people are committed and engaged and um, reliable so that you
Yeah.
can trust that you can offer unlimited vacation?
Actually, that happens day to day. And that's been actually a challenge for us because you have to find um the right profile for your organization. I think that's something that people don't talk enough about. It's always about, hey, I need to find the best people, like the brightest or the fastest or whatever. But there's not enough talk about the cultural fit and how to find that, which is really, for me at least, is very challenging. We do, for example, yes, we do unlimited vacation, but whoever comes in and doesn't have, we do our whole team, as we were talking, our whole team is remote. And that means you have to have a personality that is very self-reliant and has some sort of self-motivation too. What we discovered was that people that work well with us are people that have some sort of entrepreneurial mindset because they have the desire to grow, but they also have that feeling of, if I don't make it on my own, nobody's going to do it for me. And that's not everybody. Large corporations don't need that because they have enough structure to push people and say, hey, you need to do this, and that. In a small organization, I don't think you can afford that. You have to have people that know or that are willing to find out what it needs to happen next. That sort of like independence is very, very much needed in a remote team.
Do you
So
do you find that or do you build that?
we built it into um, very strong values. We put together our SCALTO values, and our SCALTO values are very much we live through them every single day. I know that everybody says this, but it actually happened recently that we made wrong hiring decisions, and the organization basically rejected those people. It was very, very, very fast that it was like, hey, they are not working like us. This person is really not working like us. Like the whole team detected that. It wasn't us. It was not even the leaders. It's the team that raises up the hand and says, hey, this person doesn't belong here.
Was that
So
a was that a rush to hire? Was it a not focusing on the values when you did the hire? Was it just a mistake?
I think it's not focusing on the values enough, but also the issue is that it's really hard to evaluate values while you are hiring, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, how do I evaluate whether somebody's going to respond and meet deadlines or be responsive to the rest of the team, for example, or not, or communicate enough? I do it through like talking to references, but sort of like that can slip through through the cracks, right? So it's not that easy. Um, and yeah, we did a hire that was based on curriculum or an experience, which is good, but it was not a cultural fit because really people are looking for we since we are remote, everything that you don't respond to or anything that you don't deliver on is very, very easily detected because you don't have the distraction of, oh, I was talking to this one and I was doing that and I was doing this. Like, you don't have any distractions to say, this happened. It's like, okay, this was like, this is our project management system. This is not delivered. And who delayed it? It's super tough in that sense. It's very easy to detect. Um, so yeah, like I think that values a lot of companies and leaders underestimate the power of values to build strong organizations.
Are you comfortable sharing some of those values?
Yeah, of course. So
I
we
would love
talk
to hear
about
I would love to hear what some of those are.
some of them sound very shocking. So um one of my we talk about, for example, eye on the big picture. It's very common to be part of a chain of a process and forget what this is for. So somebody that is capable of producing documents or producing material, in our case we produce creative pieces, for example. If you are not having an eye on the big picture saying, what am I going to do for this client, how is this going to impact the client, the piece is never going to be good or it's going to have problems, right? So eye on the big picture is one of them. Another one that is one of my favorites is humbly confidence. So being humbly confident means a lot of things, but it means learning from your clients when you don't know enough about their business in consulting is very important. I don't want people that come in and tell on their clients or look down on them, right? Like, I know what you do about your business better than you do. I'm never going to be in that position. I'm going to say, this is what I know. Tell me what you know and let's work together, right? And in that sense, in the team, it translates into, hey, I need you to raise your hand whenever you don't know how to do something and be confident enough to ask for help, but also confident enough to fight for what you already know. So let's say a social media manager, very typical. Hey, I want you to make this post. And the social media manager knows this is not gonna work. Like, it's not gonna, like, nobody's gonna read these. But since they were told on, they go and process it. That's not the social media manager I want. I want them to raise their hand and say, hey, I understand you want to say this about your company, but let me help you from my point of view. That's humble confidence. Um, Another one that is one of the most, aggressive is, we call it grow or die.
Love that.
And grow or die is, it's not about the growth of our company only, of course, but it's about growing internally. If we find people that are okay with going through 6 months of not learning something new, they're not a fit.
Mhm.
You need to be hungry enough to learn things all the time and try new things, especially in our industry. Is very, very important. You need to try new things. You need to have that hunger. Sometimes we find them in their hobbies, and that's good too. But it's about, hey, you need to learn and try something new all the time. And you need, your personality has to be one that it gets bored easily, in that sense, right? Because if not, you're not going to be creative. Um
One more?
Last, yes, go.
No, go ahead. If you have one more, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, well, one more. Let me see. No, we have several more, but those are my favorites. Well, we do a lot of, commit. We call it commit to your commitment. Truly, like, and that means be able to communicate whether you're going to meet a deadline, create deadlines that you can meet, and commit to your team too, because it's always an impact in everybody's work. So commit to your commitment is all about managing your work, being responsible for what you promise, and being very, like, integrated with the team. That's one that is huge for us too. Like,
My gosh.
I've had to get rid of team members that they were good with their job, with their work, but they were repeatedly late or not showing up to meetings. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like, I had one person a month ago. Her first 2 weeks, she missed 4 meetings or got in late. I'm like, no, we're done. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how great you are. No, I cannot do this. That's it. In 2 weeks, she was gone. That was one of the mishires. And I
Wow.
don't get it. Why? Because she was great. I was like, wait, no. This is not
No.
going to work.
Crazy. I want to
And
shift gear. Go ahead.
sorry, let me say one last thing because it's important. Getting to the point in which I was comfortable enough to fire somebody after 2 weeks, it has been 20 years. It's not easy. For me, at least. It hasn't been. Like, it's super, super hard for me to make the decision to let someone go. And I've been getting better at it because of these values. Because once I compare them to the values, it makes it easier. But because also I've been burnt, like, I spent like 5 months training somebody to realize, oh my God, they don't work. So cutting fast, which is, they say, like, they always, that they say that,
Fire
hire
slow,
hire
fire
slow, fire
fast.
fast.
Yeah.
Learning that for me, poof, it took a long, long
Yeah.
time. It's not easy.
Yeah, that can be tough. And I think the mistake people make is they hire fast, and that becomes the part of the problem is you prevent problems when you really take the time to find the right fit in the organization. And I think what what I find fascinating is when how so many companies, what especially in today's world, what they do is they don't hire for fit, they hire for skill, but they're not a fit in the organization, and then they wonder why they have high turnover or why they're losing people to competition, or they're making, that people are shopping around. But when you find fit and skill, right? I have found, this is the work I've done with thousands of interviews with companies and leaders, is when they have the right fit, people are more willing to stay and they're
Exactly.
happier because it's a culture fit. But when there's not a culture fit, now it's a commodity. And those employees and employer, they both, because they're commodities, they're like, I don't have a connection here. So it doesn't matter who's going to pay me the most, who gives me the best benefits, who lets me have a 4-day, 4.5 day work week, who's got the freebies, who's got a limited vacation. And the criteria for success is totally a different model. So I love hearing that. That's really cool. So
That's exactly what I say, like in value-based hiring.
yeah,
That's exactly, it's a fit. And it's a personality thing too.
I love that. And I want to shift gears just a little bit and ask about managing a remote workforce. Because how much are you completely remote? Do you have anyone in an office with you?
No, well, my partner and I,
Okay.
we have an office
So pretty
here in
much you're all
Miami,
remote.
but everybody else is remote. Yeah. We
US or
do have
international? Are you all over?
international, and we
International.
have a small office that we call it the brand lab. And that brand lab is an office,
Right.
and it's not completely on, like they have remote flexibility,
Hmm.
but they meet, in the office at least 2 or 3 times a week. And that brand lab has around 20 people.
Wow.
Why? Because that one has it's the creativity. Yeah, the creative process of creating a new brand is quite different, and we found that it was very useful for them to stay on site. But all of the rest are remote. And what also happened was that we hired already 4 people in the same city in Bogota, Colombia, and they said, "Hey, we want to get together once a week and you rent an office." They decided they wanted to hang out. So for us, that was the best way to approach whether to have completely remote or not. Like, it's pushed by them. That's one thing. The challenge of managing is, for me, it's a lot about connecting personally too, and it's an extra effort. The water cooler conversation is more personal and it's harder to have when you're just doing all the online meetings. So we do have a monthly session that we call it the hangout, and it's almost mandatory to attend, and it's an activity that we do that it's not work related, and we cannot talk about that work on that session. And we rotate roles for moderating, and everybody puts together a different game or activity. So we play competitions, we do like questionnaires, things like that, and we get to know each other better. We talk about our lives, and like the kids, the whatever. So that way you actually get to know whoever is behind the role. And I'm very much, as a leader, I try to talk about their personal lives a lot. Well, not a lot, but like at least, hey, how is your kid? He was sick. The personal side of life, it's also important. The other day I had a conversation with a team member. I was like, "You're really slacking lately. What's happening? I know this is not you." And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been having trouble with my home. Da 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 da. I'm having personal trouble." Good. You know, so it shows up in the work anyways. But making that connection and talking about it, I think it's important. That's the hardest part of remote. But since I've been remote since I started my company, in 2014, 13, yeah, and it's everything is project based. So the challenges for the work are not, for me, they're not that hard anymore, because everything is, hey, this is what needs to happen. Is this delivered? Is this not? And there is no gray area in between. Like, this is a workflow, this needs to happen. Is it happening? Is it on time? Is it not? Is it shipped? Da, 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 da. So that part is, and then we also do, of course, our annual in-person meetup where we talk strategy, we talk what's working, what's not, etc.
Very cool. Very cool. Is it, has that been, with remote workers, has that been getting easier now that you've been doing it longer, managing remote? Is it, are you noticing, because, you hear a lot about Gen Z, you hear a lot about people taking advantage of it. And I know it's project based, it makes it way easier to see if the work's getting done. But since you started the company 2013, 14, right in there, have you noticed any difference with people, with the attitudes, with commitment to, what's your thought?
So, okay. Um, I don't think it has changed that much. The people that I hired back then, that's the same type of profile I look now. That is, as I was saying, like I was mentioning before, like what I call an entrepreneurial
Hmm?
mindset, because they have to have that in order to work remote. That's one. Then, it has been easier in terms of client management and workflows and the tools available, of course, after the pandemic. I before the pandemic, I could not have that many client calls. I had to go in person, and now, like, everything is a call. So that's easier. And also for me, it wasn't such a disruption when the pandemic came, right?
I was
Like,
going to ask about that. Yeah.
yeah, it was not a disruption at all. It was everything the same. It's just that my clients suddenly were like, "Hey, we can have calls. Let's have more calls." I was like, "Why are we having that many calls? We don't need that many
Because
calls."
we miss you. We want to talk to you.
Like, it wasn't that needed, but yeah, that process was easier. Um, in terms of the generation, honestly, I was having this conversation with two different teams, and I was like, "I'm gonna reject this." When I still remember when I was 20 something, and older leaders would say, "This new generation is lacking. They don't want to work. They are so pretentious. They think that da 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 da." And then I'm having a leadership meeting and listening and hearing the same things again 20 years later. I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot believe that now that I'm the older person, I'm right. Because when I was younger, I knew they were not right. So I'm not going to adopt that mentality. It's all about the personality, who wants to put the work in, and what type of work ethic they have. And that comes from your home. I truly believe that your work ethic comes from, it's built by your parents. That's a reality. It's not built by a job. Like, whatever you think that you have earned your space or not, or that you have to work hard to get things, that comes from your home. Like, no boss is going to teach you that, because you're not going to last enough. If you think that things have to come easy, you're not going to last enough to learn that you have to work hard at a job, right? So I truly, like, that's why I say I'm not going to engage into that conversation. We have to find the young people that fit the profile that we need. But I don't think they're just working differently, and we need to understand how they work. They don't work less. They work differently, just like we did. Um, and that's why that's why we put together the unlimited vacation. That's why everything is project based. That's why I'm going to judge you by whether you meet a deadline or not, and not when you work. My first hire, like 11 years ago, she was a night owl. And I would, like, the first few weeks, I was like, where is this woman? And during the day, she was like, sometimes she would respond 1 or 2 messages, but she wouldn't respond. The next morning, I would wake up and everything was delivered. Zoom! she liked to work at night. I was like, okay, I can work with this.
Interesting.
She was young.
Was there? Can I ask you?
Yeah.
What have you seen? How old was that person? Older, younger,
Younger than me, of course. She was like, I don't know,
20s?
80s. Yeah. No, yeah, 20s. 20,
Yeah,
I think she was 22.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, it's interesting, and the reason I ask that is, I've seen that oftentimes in a younger generation. They've weird where they have energy. Not all, but some it's at night, and they get
Well,
more
that's
done
the
at
teenagers, going into 20s. Because teenagers have energy at night. You know that, right? That's like actually biological.
right
They get
biological, right, right,
Yeah, they say they get like a second wind of energy, like at 10, that starts like at 10 p.m.
right,
And that's a problem. Like there's a discussion in how schools start too early for teenagers, and it doesn't make sense because their minds don't work
yeah,
early in the morning.
yeah, and
Uh,
and I think it goes to kind of similar to a comment you said. I mean, it's learning to adapt. It's not that they're lazy; it's learning to adapt. My cousin was a graphic artist, phenomenal, but his creativity was in the middle of the night. So 2, 3, 4 in the morning, he was doing work for major brands, major global brands, and that was when he would work. And don't talk to him mid morning. That's not his creative time.
no.
And you
Yeah.
just I think the beauty of sometimes working remote, and I think a lot of people don't know this, they don't see this, is it gives employees the ability to work when they're the most productive and creative. But I think you touched on something, and I want to reiterate this for our listeners. The biggest problem I see with remote workers is not the worker, it's the ability of the employer to be able to focus on results. And most people, unless you're in a project based or sales or something, those are easy, right? Those are easy to manage because all you care about is a result. But a lot of times when people are remote workers, I think employers don't have a system or a way to say, are you doing your job? And so the only way they think they know if you're doing your job is if they see you. But that doesn't mean you're doing your job just because you
Yeah.
see them every day. And so I think that the teaching moment, and I'd love your input on this, I think the teaching moment for managers, especially with remote employees, is you have to find a way to say, are you getting work done? And how do we measure it?
Well,
Thoughts?
for me, it was, look, one of the first jobs that I had was to this person that I have to say, like, I suffered so much, but at the same time, I learned so much, right? But one of the things that he would do is like he was very, very strict with the time that you got into the office and the time that you left. But I vividly remember sitting down in front of the computer after lunch and doing absolutely nothing for at least an hour and a half, right? Because you're like, I don't know what to do right now. I'm just done. So that has stayed with me. And I've always encouraged my team to learn what their biocycles are. And I pay attention to mine all the time. I'm like, I know I'm good, like late at night or early in the morning for focus stuff. During the day, I cannot focus. I cannot. Like it's really hard. You have all these messages coming in. I discovered recently, which is I don't think it's that healthy, but I've been doing it Sunday nights.
Hmm?
Sunday nights are amazing because I prep the week and I'm focused and there are not that much input coming in and I can really get rid of a lot of like thinking process stuff, right? So I always encourage my team to do that too. That's one thing. And the other thing is, yes, I don't believe like especially service-based organization, but even like software, consulting, everything that we work on It's about results. It's about deliverables. You can
Uh-huh.
convert it into deliverables. Actually, our proposals, and that's something that I've always had, are based on deliverables. So you start there. You start with the client. Hey, I know I'm a consultant, yes, but I have my methodology and I have my deliverables. I don't work on hour based. I hate hour based billing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because whatever, like, how do I value the hour? Oh, you charge me too much for the hour. And then I'm like, yeah, but in that hour, I'm delivering what 3 juniors would do for you in a month, like that type of discussion. So from the beginning at Scalto, we said, okay, we're going to have our methodology. Our methodology has deliverables. So since I already have client-facing deliverables, for my team is the same. Hey, your position requires to manage X amount of clients and to produce X amount of work for them. Is that good or not? Like, we actually also measure it and see that it's working, right? You don't want to overwhelm them either.
Right.
But that's the way we work. And it's like, okay, hey, in the traffic meetings, we do traffic meetings once a week. And it's like, okay, this is what needs to happen this week. And then we have a dashboard that says, okay, from everything that has to be delivered this week, these items are critical. And then you have by team member, okay, you are responsible for 5 critical items this week. Are you okay with that load or not? Should we, rearrange? So yeah, it's always been like, I think that the conversation is that much easier just talking about deliverables. And also it comes from the Ford mentality. That's why companies cannot change. Like, they are in a Ford mentality production line, and they cannot think about, hey, no, but I need to think about output, not process only.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I wish we had more time because there's so many other topics I want to get into. So I want to close with one last question. And that is, what's a question you wish people would ask you, but they don't know to ask you?
Well, I always have this conversation. A lot of people like look at you and say, wow, you've done it. Or you're doing so well. And it's like, and this is a question, and it's not only for me, but for every other leader that you see that you may admire or think that they've done it. It's like, what have you sacrificed in the process? Because
Good
it's
question.
never magic. It's never magic. It's never you can't have it all. Shonda Rhimes,
Yeah.
the scriptwriter, I love her. And I was looking at a video, the commencement speech that they gave, and she said something that I've always thought about always. It's like, if you are killing it at one thing, you're failing at another. You never have it all. So if I'm killing it at work with a new proposal and putting an event together for a client, I'm not spending that much time at that point with my kids.
Hmm.
And if I'm going to my kids' recital and spending a lot of time with my kids, I'm slacking at work. So having that perspective, especially in this social media era of heroes and successful people, for
Hmm.
me is very important.
So how do you, I don't want to go too deep on this just because of the time, but how do you, is there such the thing as balance then?
No, there is right here, right now. So there are weeks that I'm fully on work and I barely get to dinner with my kids.
Mm.
And then there are weeks that I'm like, hey, I'm going to block all this time. I'm going to the hairdresser, I'm going to the recital, and I'm going to the doctor, and I work part time. Um, so, and it's never even, and sometimes it goes by a month, and sometimes it goes by like, I try to balance it in a week, but that never happens. Like this week, for example, I have 6 different events happening in Miami. I have to be there. I'm not going to be a night at home for 3 nights. That's a reality. But last week, I was at home each night cooking for my kids. So that, like, it's balanced. Well, yeah, if you want to go back and look at the statistics, I may find them, but I take it 1 week at a time
Yeah.
and accepting that it's right now.
Yeah.
If you go deep into like this thing of I need to find balance every single day, that's not.
Yeah. It's really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Well, if
Yeah.
someone wants to learn more about your business or you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you or learn more?
So if my name is written right there, you just Google me and you find my LinkedIn, you find everything. And then our website is scalto.com.
That's SCALTO.com.
Correct.
And I will put a link to your business in the show notes. So, well, Alejandra, thank you so much for being with me today. I've so much enjoyed the conversation. I wish we could even spend more time. There's so much more I want to dig into. So thank you for being here.
I love the conversation. So whenever you want, we can talk again.
All right, deal. Folks, thank you
Thank
so much for being with me today. This is Inside the Leader's Mind, and I'm David Susan. See you next time.